Hi, afternoon. Let's get started again. I'm back to the contents of the questionnaire builder manual as an agenda for us today, but I'm going to be focusing on two areas here. Mostly more advanced questionnaire building for two specific areas. Um, Obviously, we're going to speak a lot about e-learning later on and the idea of associating points to the answers on questions, which is very good for checking if your field staff are familiar with the brief, and also obviously for health and safety, cyber security training, and so on. But I'm also going to take a look at the survey area where you actually build a document. Um, so let's take those one at a time. First of all, yesterday I sent out an email shot, and I'm just looking for it, and I can't find it, so I will go find it again. I sent out an email shot. Where is my email shot from our normal radical system? Which I believe that's there. So I sent out an email shot, and it asked you to fill out. I just want to make sure everybody got this, an anonymous questionnaire. And you may remember I've actually ticked anonymous on here now. So on this questionnaire that I sent out yesterday, this link here, if I go to have a look at it, link 97, go down to questionnaire, link 97. So I've ticked the anonymous button so you can safely fill that in if you would. And I sent it out yesterday, and actually this morning, I beg your pardon, at about 11:30 or so. And this link here should have turned into a link so that you can click on a questionnaire. I think I've got an example of that. If I pop this down here, somewhere around, if I go to one of these things here, yeah, it should have looked something like this. It should look something like this. So if you clicked on that anonymous survey, this is one of my test ones to myself, so it's all filled in. You should have got something like this. And obviously we'd be most grateful if you could fill it out. You know, is the course the right length for you, and so on. So I just wanted to send that out to you so you could see how easy it is to launch a survey, perhaps to your staff or to your clients by mail. And if you fill it out, we can then show you how we can actually get to the results of that. If I go back in here, my preferred way of doing this is to go to the reports, and basically that would be just anything after, I don't know, 28 of August, so that we can see all of the most recent ones. And you'll see there's quite a few mail shots that we've sent out. If I just check there's nothing else in there. 28th September is not going to work. There we go. That's better. So this is rather good. It does look like we've got 4 people that have filled out. I'd rather suspect that that's us, because they were filled out. No, 1031. Yeah, I think that's us testing it before you guys would have had a look at it. So it wouldn't have got to you by then, I guess. So if we take a look at that, where are we? Download that. Take a look at this baby here. Then it will load in a spreadsheet of all of the answers, and you'll see that the name of the person filling it in is now anonymous, but you can guess because it says rubbish stuff like this, and it says everybody says that the time length is correct. But you can see when they filled it in, what they said, and they enjoyed their lunch, and so on. So that's a pretty basic questionnaire. We're going to be spending time looking at the idea of quizzes and tests. I'm not sure if I've got an example of one that's come in okay on here yet, but we will have some soon. We're just testing that. So if I go back to the questionnaire builder, the next thing I'm just going to show you is the idea of quizzes and the idea of building surveys. Because I've got a security audit survey that I'm building here, I thought this would be quite a good place to start. So the idea here is that you would have a Word document. If I just go and grab my Word document example here from wherever it is, there it is there. So I have a template document here, and it's full of placeholders. And you may remember yesterday, by the way, you can have all these fill in as well. but it's got a title page. And the idea of this document is this would be a report which is maybe 20 or 30 pages long. You know, definitely passes the drop test if your business is writing reports for customers, long reports for customers. But the idea here is that if you take various different placeholders, you can replace them with policies, with paragraphs and text and so on. So yesterday Neil was asking about using this as part of a quality control system. So the idea here is you'll see that the report placeholder here for this question, do you have 2 formally trained Accelerate super users, is super user. And if I put that between dollars there, then whatever paragraph I wish to replace with the text there will go in there. Likewise, this here is the section. So if I look at the section here, that is the policy and officers placeholder, and I've put that on there. And I've ticked the button here. If somebody says, I don't need to fill in this section because it's irrelevant, if you allow them to. So for example, if somebody is doing a health and safety survey of a block of flats, if there's no leisure facility or no car park, you can ignore the tab that has all the questions about, is the car park lit well at night? Does the swimming pool have a lock on the door to prevent kids getting in, and all of that kind of stuff. So you can basically set a thing here so that that won't come up. And then always all of the headings, the contents and all the other stuff, the page numbers and everything will work out because of the natural abilities that Microsoft Word has to do that. You'll notice down here, I've got another placeholder for the next section, which is staff training. And if I cancel that and go and look at staff training, where we're asking questions like, do your super users provide cybersecurity training? When was the last cybersecurity training? You can see that that whole section can be pushed into the Word document just by doing that. And then that placeholder there would have the answers to this question here. Whoops, cancel, because it's got that string of characters which we've put between the dollars. And I can validate that my Word document is okay, there's no duplicates. If there are duplicates found, you have to have like a #1 in them, so you can put a paragraph in twice if you want, but you have to validate it. So in order to say what paragraphs replace what, you'd go into this Manage Report Text area. So if somebody doesn't have any users, then as the data processor, we have to inform them as a company that they could be open to GDPR problems simply by giving people inappropriate authorities to see data they shouldn't see. So somebody in sales shouldn't necessarily see HR data, for example, but the number of customers that we see where the super user hasn't been trained, or with the best will in the world, everybody's had quite a lot of staff turnover, and so they've said, hey Bill, you be a super user. Now if you have super user yes on here, where are we? That's super user no, I don't appear to have super user yes, but if you had super user yes on here, it would say, oh well done, you don't have a problem, and so on and so forth. Now you can also have tables of action points at the beginning and risk notes at the back, or wherever you want to have those tables in the document. So associated with every one of these, you can have some risk notes. So for example, an action point, if in question 1, an action point that is, because you've said no, we don't have any super users, you would then, let's say, jump to, whoops, there we go. You would then jump to question 5, and question 5 is basically, what are you going to do about it? And then you could replace all of that text, that super user role fill, probably need to spell that right, role fill, excuse me. You could then have that placeholder, Control C, and because it's text, you would actually take their full response and put it in, so you wouldn't have alternative words in there. So in my Word template, in there, I would have that, and I would put it in between dollars and resave the template, and obviously reload it, file save, and I'd re-upload it at some point later. So if you want to see one that we did earlier, there's quite a good one here. If I just pop that away and we'll go and look at the quiz in a moment. Just pop that there for now. There's one that we did here. I just go look at the managed report text here. So the idea here is that this questionnaire builder is about doing a COVID baseline test for a huge project that's been going on and has been in the news. So I'll just leave you to this. It's got a code name, but it's actually more well known than you would imagine. And they have done, this client of ours has done an extremely thorough arrangement for dealing with all of the risks that this big business has with COVID. The cost of them the cost of them providing the project is many, many hundreds of millions, and it's 30% more because you've got to have two teams in case one team gets COVID. The other team then, whether it's carpenters or whatever. So they have to look at various different, the titles is, what's the film and when is it and stuff. The access control would be all sorts of questions that I may have mentioned yesterday, like is there security on site? Are they trained? The transport, is it cleaned? Is it operating properly? Facilities, things like that. Toilets, are they cleaned? Is there, if there are hand washing stations, do they actually have hand washing liquids in them? And then this company has also done a very, very thorough training course for their staff, where they've put the notes in the beginning of the rubric for the questionnaires, and then their staff will have to fill out a quiz and they have to get above a certain number to be able to go on site and do their job. So when you ask the question, access control, is the security present and are they trained, then they know that their staff are trained and their staff would comply with that. So that's survey building. If I just look at one of the questions, is the security present? Do you remember, like I gave the example of asbestos yesterday? So you've got various placeholders here, and you can say either it is yes or it's no. Where are we? Access control. Let's take a better example. Social. Oh, this is the test survey. I was going to show you a much more interesting one. So let's. I think it takes quite a long time to. Actually, let's go with this. So no. No, it's not that one. I'm going to go back to the test because it's just much easier. So on here, you can see that there's report building, so that you would upload your document and then you'd have various different examples here. And you can see in the management report test here that there are dozens and dozens and dozens. So I don't know what tent cleaning is, but there's, if it's no or partial or yes or whatever. Where's the rest of tent cleaning? Tent cleaning, no. Clearly that paragraph goes in. And if tent cleaning is yes, wherever it is, then this paragraph goes in. So that's the whole area of documents. If you would like to use documents, then please give us a shout, because it will require us to perhaps switch it on for your system. But the idea is very simple in concept. You have a complex Word document that would normally take you 2 or 3 days to write for a customer following a survey of a venue, or maybe as a baseline audit for a campaign that you're getting involved in. With the survey builder, you just literally go around with an app and you just say yes, no, and it develops all of the paragraphs for you. Now you can appreciate that getting involved with us to make sure that that all works and to update it and to do different surveys is a few hours of your work. But basically it replaces a day or so write-up after a day on site doing the survey with an automatic write-up and maybe an hour or two of moving pictures around to create the document for the customer. So hopefully that's useful to people, and it'll spark off some ideas for extra revenue for your business. We see so many people, for example, sending out staff to do stuff where they could also get revenue for doing a baseline audit or for checking that things are done, or mystery shopping other people, like competitors or whatever. The next area of the advanced questionnaire building use is going to be discussed when we do e-learning, but I just thought I'd give you a little bit more knowledge on how it works today. We're going to be launching this quiz out to you soon, and we're going to do one for each of the subjects, as I mentioned. So if you look at this question here, what we're saying is, what does the ATS stand for? And that's nice and simple. If you say applicant tracking system, you get however many bananas. But if you say, I don't know, asphalt laying system or something, you get no bananas. You can also put minus amounts in here, so you can take, if you want to be particularly cruel, or if you want to make absolutely sure that people have read the health and safety policy and they don't think they can do X, Y, and Z because it could be dangerous, you could put minus numbers in there. That way, when somebody comes along to say, have you trained your staff on health and safety? Why did this guy have this accident? You're cut and dried. You can say he did do the training, we did test his knowledge, and this was just an accident. We couldn't possibly have known there'd be a forklift truck from this other supplier there that day or something. So it's very good for covering your back, but it's also good for making sure the staff don't have an accident in the first place, which I think is the main idea of these things. In this instance, I think it's useful for you just to be able to test yourself and see where you are. But also it's very important for us to be able to know if we're delivering training that's landing and that people are learning and people are enjoying using the system. And a great deal of enjoy using the system is making sure that you actually understand it and it's easy for you to change things and so on, especially when we get into the admin section later. Where you can change the vocabulary and the drop downs to really suit the evolving business needs of your company. So very, very simple. If I pick another one at random, question 4, what does JAM stand for? Or a lot of these are like, what does this stand for? And then later on, I think we've got questions like, what happens if I republish? Which is a question that often comes up. If you republish an application form while there's already a candidate filling it in, then clearly there's a particular thing that happens to that person, which I'll leave you to figure out. So once that has gone out, then what you can do is you can link it to a qualification, and I'll get back on with that in the when we get to the actual appropriate section. So the next thing with filling out questionnaires is to be able to make a decision on which questionnaire that you're going to be using in a different context, and to decide how to apply that. And so if it is for a qualification, you'll need a pass mark. Now, for each section, you can have a pass mark. So if I double click on here, it says the total number of points in the first section is 35, and I can create and edit rules. So I could say, for example, out of those 35, to pass, you must have 30. So between 30 and 35, you can move to the next tab. And I can say value, or I can say percentage, if it's easier. So I could say you've got to get 90% to move to the next one. You can then have a message if they don't do that. So what happens to people who are under 35? Well, you can add a new rule, and you can say under 35, so from 0 to 30, 29, you can say something like something which hopefully doesn't affect their self-esteem, but makes them go and have a look at the data and try again. Or you may say you failed and that's that. If it's a health and safety thing, you may want people to just know it or go away. And then obviously if people are failing, then you've got to revisit your health and safety training, or it may be that they just haven't taken the care. And in which case they may not take the care over health and safety matters in general. So you can make a business decision about that. And these are obviously HTML, so if you wanted to make them yellow or red or something, obviously you've got the opportunity to do that. I'm going to disable those now. This one was already disabled, but if I just save that, those rules are disabled at the moment. Then you've got here, you've got the overall pass-fail rules. Now the maximum score is 85. You can also say people can have a maximum number of attempts at 3 or 5 or something. So if I edit those pass-fail rules, then you can say between 0 and 50 passes, but between, what have I done here? Oh, I've disabled that rule, so it doesn't matter. That ought to be 50, let's say, for this, and 0 to 49, let's say. 0 to 49 is not good enough. Please check your answers before moving on, or whatever you want to say to your people. And then on here, you can decide what you want to put into there as well. So if I save that, I've got what happens if they're 0 to 50, and I've actually disabled that. They just don't pass. And if I save that, it says, congratulations, you passed at the end. And I can't remember exactly how now, but somewhere around, I've got some notes. You can say you've passed and you scored so much out of so much. There is a way to put tags in where you can put the actual score and the maximum score. So you can say you scored 75 out of 85 points, or whatever it is. And then I think I mentioned yesterday how you can associate a quiz with a qualification. So I'm going to be spending more time on that in the e-learning. But just finally, a lot of people ask us how we put videos in there. So I'll just show you that very, very quickly. If you go to your video on YouTube, you can get the YouTube link for it. If you go to share, see that YouTube link there? And that's the YouTube link that we would have given you when we handed out the information on application form builder. And then all I've done here is I've just created a little iframe to put it in, so that if I preview this questionnaire like this, save. If I preview this questionnaire like this, look, when I go to this page, you can see that I can press the video, watch the video for 2 minutes. I think this is Jack's video on how application form builder works. I think it's two minutes or something. And then you can answer the questions. So it's very easy to plug a video into your e-learning, or in the one that I've showed you before, the very, very full COVID testing one, that company, HSE, they were able to hire some quite well-known COVID testing information, create a PDF, and together we broke the PDF into certain sections, each of which matches the section in the exam. You know, how to deal with your own personal hygiene, how to social distance and keep away from people, what to look for in an identity badge to make sure the person that's coming onto site actually has their test, how to do a lat flow test, and so on and so forth. And they were able to get some of the well-known information that's around the place, hire that, and put it into their training. Begins with H. I can't remember what it's called. You're probably familiar with the name. So that's what I wanted to go through for the kind of more advanced questionnaire building.